Recently, I've been having a lot of fun playing Supervive, a MOBA style battle royale, a game where open mic is on by default. We won that game if you couldn't tell. Now if the terms MOBA or Battle Royale don't sound appealing to you, I wouldn't blame you. Both of these game styles are generally slow paced and take too long to build up, right? Looting or farming is not very action packed, and you have to wait for so long until something meaningful happens. And when it eventually does, you're either dead or just so behind that it's not even worth trying anymore. But Supervive is a bit of an exception, because to my knowledge, there's no game that does both at the same time with such success. Developed by Theorycraft Studio and financed by Nexon Corporation, this is a top-down view WASD controlled game released in open beta during November 2024. In this game, you and up to 3 other teammates have to try to be the last team standing. Each one of you will be playing a unique character called a Hunter, who all have 4 special abilities giving them a unique playstyle. For instance, you could play a damage-centric hunter like Brawl, whose close quarters burst damage in a teamfight can mean a valuable knock. Or maybe, if a more tactical playstyle is your thing, Kingpin can be your pick who can hook enemies to his position. Then there's also support-oriented hunters. I've personally been having a lot of fun playing the bunny girl Illuna, who has good healing and revive abilities which turn long-winding battles in your favor. And then there's Hudson.
Yo, chill the fuck out, yo. You seen that jump?
Why reaction? Damn, that's mad. What the fuck?
The good thing about this game is that they're really all simple to pick up. And I say this as someone who is at game journalist level of good at MOBA style games like League of Legends. And to get it out of the way, is this the League of Legends killer? No. LOL has too good of a hold on the industry right now, and displacing it with a game that's not even focused on the linear 5v5 arena playstyle is unlikely if not impossible. They just appeal to a different demographic despite the overlap in gameplay. As of now, there's concerns about the low player counts. Worrying about this game's killing anything doesn't make sense when it's struggling for survival. Nonetheless, I anticipate this game will be quite popular in Asia, for reasons that are game and culture specific, but also because of its financing publisher Nexon. And don't forget, it's still an open beta, which means there's a promise of a full release sometime in late 2025. First things first though, how do you win Supervive? Generally, you and your team should try to get stronger. One of the ways you can do this is by defeating minion bots and bosses for hunter levels. This will allow you to upgrade your abilities, decreasing the cooldown of your dashes and or raising the power of a damage ability. Now you have to be careful where you put your upgrade points, because the level limit is 9, besides an item that raises it to 10, and the game always caps your level according to how long the game has been going on for. See, towards the end of the game, when you reach level 9 after you've invested 2 skill points into each of your 4 abilities twice, you're left with 1 skill point to put into a level 3 ability. Very important decision. Other than the skills, items which are not hunter specific are just as important. Supervive's item system is very simple. You have 2 separate damage items, boots for movement speed, and a shield. The damage items are upgraded in 2 ways. Some are health centered, making you more tanky, and the others are enhancing your damage. Depending on your hunter, you can build around your playstyle with unique evolutions to these items and specific traits like lifesteal or mana regen. Besides your upgradable items are each player's 4 slots for health and mana restoring potions, vision wards, jump pads, buildable walls, or even a base. And lastly, there's the myriad of usable items. Truly, this is where the game shines. Just to name a few, you have stuff like a money tree which gives you increasingly more gold if you let it grow, or a gang of pickpocket raccoons that loot an entire area and conveniently deliver it to you in a small box. Or how about the plunger, where if you manage to connect 2 shots onto enemies, they will both be sucked into each other for a stun, setting up for an easy kill. Nah, why stop there? How about a nuke? Kind of kick-ass if you ask me. In Supervive, they balance it so that it's really easy to do lasting damage by destroying shields. Even though they're hard to restore in battle, cost a lot to repair, especially if they're of higher quality, The most effective way to get them back up is by picking them up from kills. Once you drain somebody's shield, it's a lot easier to drain their health bar to knock them out, especially if they built their items up for damage and not health. At this point, they turn into a wisp state, where they can still slowly move but cannot do anything else. If, during a wisp state, an ally is physically on top of you, you will be slowly revived. If not, you will slowly be drained of your health, even faster if an enemy is on top. If the wisp runs out, you die and drop all of your loot in a box for anybody to pick up. Though if dead, you can still be revived in many ways. Number 1, directly by a teammate slowly resurrecting you from the box after a few seconds of animation. Number 2, directly respawning on top of your teammates in the early game after a short cooldown. Number 3, by activating a respawn beacon that rings an alarm for all others around, but which can resurrect an entire team at once. And or number 4, by having one of your teammates survive the full duration of a most wanted event, which too alerts all others. But yes, there's a lot of second chances, but they cost very valuable time and are always dangerous in one way or another. In the early game, your time is very precious, and you always have to be on the move farming loot and setting up for an advantageous circle or item. If you die trying to go too fast while your team is too slow behind, you'll cost more in the end from the time lost on the recovery. Oh, and did I mention that one of the ways you can die in this game is by falling off in the abyss?
Okay.
Bye. See you.
Everybody has a glider, which can be toggled at any time by holding the spacebar while airborne, which is useful for traversing the map. But if you're hit while in the air and there's no solid ground to land on, you're a goner. Which you would think makes for lame, uninteractive gameplay, but actually makes for some chaotic moments and clutches. And otherwise, this small mechanic too gives more room for strategic decision making. Do we take the short way across to the enemy team? Or do we walk around in a circle which would cost us time and health to avoid the risk? Situations like these occur very often in the endgame when the circle is very small. The abyss makes for interesting natural choke points that create unique poke battles where nobody wants to make the first move. But one small advantage gained, and given all the tools each player has, the situation moves fast. Jump pads, teleports, dashes, it's really a matter of choice, which is awesome. And I have to say, the movement of this game is pretty clean, which is a weird thing to say for a MOBA game, but it genuinely feels very tactile, weaving and dodging shots, especially in the air when your life is at risk. The keyboard's WASD controls just feel at home for this type of stuff. And as for the map itself, I have to give it praise. To me, the traditional and linear MOBA style maps are just unappealing. 3 lanes, 5 players is good when you want to relax and not deal with the bullshit of a random flank that you didn't know existed, but sincerely, it gets old after a while. I remember the first time I played League of Legends, I was partied up with my friends and I asked them on my second game, it's the same map again? Is there really just one map? And I have to stay in lane for 10 minutes bashing my head against the borderline unbreakable turret? So the Supervive map is very cool, because it's not just a straight line. There's areas with unique attributes like the academy where you can find books that will give you extra XP to level up, and the safe zone which is safe in the early game at daytime but dangerous towards the late game at nighttime, and the cherry on top, a train that circles the whole map. It's very cool. And given the looter nature of the game, you'll want to be moving around a lot for extra loot, but also because of the Battle-Royale circle forcing everyone to the center. And yes, this game does have small bases you can capture which encourage a more defensive playstyle. Once captured, they give you vision and alerts when they spot enemies, a little healing, and a way to repair broken armor for gold. But from what I've noticed, its strengths are mostly limited to the vision radius they provide, which is good, but it's nothing more than an alert of approaching enemies. In fact, it's cleverly designed so that you can pay a hefty amount of gold to pick it up and store it in your deployables like I talked about earlier. So really, since the circle is always going to move, it's very unlikely your base camp will be in the best spot. Therefore, it's better to go out and get gold and move it around, which defeats the entire camping playstyle and rewards an active playstyle instead. That's the essence of Supervive's mechanics. Some things are just better understood through gameplay though, so I recommend you give it a try if it sounds interesting. I'll give you an example. I was playing a regular game with Icky 520S, X Space Girl X, and Troy. Very early in the game at 3 minutes, I acquired a two-way teleporter when we collectively cracked the vault. A rare item that allows you to teleport anything within its radius from where you're standing to upwards of like 10% across the map. Now we were in the middle of the circle, aimlessly wandering, and we encounter another team. Their Kingpin blasts his shotgun into X Space Girl X's face, and she goes down, and a few moments later the same fate reaches Troy. Now I play my distance and stay in the back babysitting and reviving my teammates because they're precious, while Icky 520S is literally going all in and winning 1v3 on a support hunter against the rest of the enemy team. Thanks to him, we come out of the scuffle on top, and this allows us to level up. Looking for something to do after mercilessly killing some bots, I open the map and see that on the outer edge of the circle is the boss holding the rarest item in the game. It's a long way out, but I have a two-way teleporter. So, I put it down and ping my teammates to get inside the circle for me to activate it. But Troy is kind of slow to realize. Once he comes, we teleport and book it to defeat the meteor beast, holding a fortress soul which allows us to build cover on the fly. The circle is now closing, so we start running back. On our way, we capture a base, and I set up another teleport for everyone inside. This also teleported the base alongside the players, which was very useful. Now, down to 5 teams remaining, we get into a fight against a team that has a drunk Hudson who is too slow to rotate his camera. And after taking them out, and only 4 teams remaining, we start to run inside the circle once again, which is increasingly becoming more damaging. Except for Troy. He stays back looting. And as soon as we make it inside the small area that's within safe limits, you can start to hear and see on the minimap that another squad is just around the corner protecting a position and capturing a base. So I think, okay, let's hold on, wait for Troy to stop looting, and come here. And while he loots, let me see if we can rotate to the left side where the circle is more advantageous and where I can reach our base with a teleporter so that if we take a fight, it'll be on equal ground. And maybe we'll make use of the item the boss dropped, but oh my god, Icky 520S goes in 1v4 once again and fucking blows up. Holy shit. X Space Girl X, no, come back, we need you alive. Troy! Yeah, we lost that game. But you see my thought process there? It's a thinker's game, and that's what I like about it. Supervive benefits by merging both of the game genres, which have traditionally had quote-unquote pointless early games, and finally gives them some substance. I say this as someone who's played a good amount of old-school Battle-Royale, Baba G, and Fortnite mostly. One of the most fun playstyles when I was playing these games alone was solo squads. Shit can turn into a horror game. Play solo squad, drop in the middle of nowhere, loot, and conspire a way to eliminate my enemies. Stalk them like prey, and try to take down the mammoth. Or fail miserably most of the time, but enjoy the insurmountable challenge nonetheless. Supervive appeals a lot to me in this regard. Not that you get to take on a squad alone, but because the MOBA genre benefits from the early game gameplay complexity and interaction with your teammates. Most importantly, it also gives reason for the purposeless random objectives on the map and other team fights. Think about this. The idea that when you get a kill in Battle-Royale, you advance closer to victory is largely just an illusion. The people who drop in the most contested areas of the map are naturally going to be eliminated, while the movements of the circle will force engagements or just outright kill any stragglers. So ideally, if you want to win, playing a pacifist run and camping is technically better in a game like PUBG because you can mind your own business and win. Just loot and sit inside the circle. Obviously though, that's boring, and at some point most battle royales have taken steps to reduce the downtime and jump straight into action. For example, what does a player in PUBG need? A helmet, a vest, a 5.56 assault rifle, and a scope. What does a player in Fortnite need? Last time I played, an assault rifle, a shotgun, and some building materials. That's it. As long as you're better, most of the loot is only going to give you a marginal advantage. That in a game as chaotic like this means nothing, which is why the looting process feels pointless a lot of the time. Yo guys, let's drop at the edge of the map and start looting New Zealand. Said no one ever unless you don't want to get invited to play squads again. There's a great video about this phenomenon. It discusses the player-made culture that formed with streamers who romanticized the idea of a hot drop. When in 2017 PUBG, it became an inside joke to drop at the school no matter what. The school was a monument in the center of the then only map Erangel, which was, by all means, a shit tier place to drop because it didn't have enough loot because of its small size. But streamers who had all the viewers' eyes on them started dropping there, and everybody followed suit, which turned this tiny spot into an all-out war every single round.
School, in contrast, is a Call of Duty match.
It was kind of funny and impressive, and you'd be lucky to make it out alive, let alone land and find a gun. Now this is pretty cool, but it really goes against the idea of true survival. That same video I'm talking about goes into how this cultural phenomenon really stuck more with the Western Hemisphere than it did with the East. Asian players preferred a more safe playstyle, maybe because the influence of the streamers didn't spread or otherwise just cultural reasons. Not to say that people didn't hot drop, but this wasn't as popular. And the proof of this is that almost 10 years later, Asian countries are really the only ones sustaining this genre in terms of player base. Why? Because they love a more macro-oriented game, the bigger picture. As a matter of fact, PUBG Mobile is the biggest played game in China, where they have the highest number of mobile players. While the West loved to drop at school for no loot but a big fight, kind of forgot about PUBG because even with a chaotic fight, the process of waiting for a game and dropping was very tedious, and it wore off very quickly. Which leads me back to Supervive. Who do you think will appreciate this type of game more? Your typical NA player who wants fast action, or a Korean League of Legends prodigy? I think the answer is obvious. What this means for you, dear viewer, is that you might not enjoy this game if you don't like teamfights that often rely on being in the right place and at the right time rather than mechanical skill. Now while the beta has potential, I will mention it's not without rough edges. The audio design needs some fine-tuning for sound effects and a noticeable lack of music. The character designs also feel clunky, with some hunters looking too similar, making them hard to distinguish during combat. But hey, at least their monetized shop is running flawlessly, so they got their priorities in order, right? Maybe I shouldn't have expected anything different in that regard. The way I found out about the game was not through what I assume is a costly marketing campaign, where the biggest League of Legends streamers like Tyler1 were invited to play. I found the game through Nexon's Korean YouTube channel. I didn't really understand anything that was going on in the trailer, but it looked cool. And since I have a long history with Nexon, playing their Counter-Strike title for over 1500 hours and some of their other recent titles like The First Ascendant, I've seen the shit they do. It's not surprising to me that a Korean developer and publisher of PC and mobile games that rake in millions of dollars from predatory gaming practices is financing a game that appeals to an Eastern audience through the MOBA and the Battle-Royale genre. Now the average English-speaking gamer in the West is not very in touch with these companies and their poor reputation. Their games might be popular in Asia, but even there, the community image they have is mixed at best. Following the $9 million odds manipulation scandal and Maple story that was going on for 10 years, where they openly lied about the players' chances of getting certain items they paid real money for, and their other game titles are all so exploitative of their player base that it's like the EA of Asia. Now I'm a curious chicken, and I wanted to see what Supervive is like despite all of this. The game's developers seem like very talented people from the About Us page. Industry specialists including several former Riot game devs that worked on League of Legends. And after playing a few games, it suddenly clicked with me. The game is fun, but Nexon has to be influencing this game's development in an attempt to expand their sphere of influence over the Western gaming world. In other words, they're trying to go global. Why? Because Americans and Westerners are on average richer and spend more. It'd be foolish for such a huge company like Nexon to not want to capture a slice of this gigantic ever-growing gaming market pie. Nexon's way of tackling this is by financing up-and-coming game studios abroad that will make games that appeal to the West just as much as they do the East. The benefit of this is that the developers are more in touch with Western culture and practice compared to Nexon. And if these studios' games take off in popularity, both parties will massively benefit. Now, you see the Supervive we play is on Steam, and the online website for this game is generic run-of-the-mill. But if you type in Google Supervive Nexon and visit the Korean website, you'll see a few interesting differences. The game is not on Steam, but rather played through the Nexon launcher, and lo and behold, it hosts the typical Asian marketing practices, including internet cafe bonuses such that you unlock all the hunters for free when you physically play in a PC bong, and real-life giveaways for computers and other crap. Given their reputation, we have to be careful. The Finals was a similar case released last year, a small Swedish studio called Embark financed by Nexon. The game is a blend of the 3-player team shooter with personal abilities where strategy and team play are crucial for winning the game more so than raw mechanical skill. Stop me if you've heard this one before. A mix of genres trying to appeal to a Western demographic while still having the typical Asian marketing? Yeah. Supervive is trying to be populist but kind of failing. It's hard to please everyone, but they'll keep trying until something sticks eventually. And if not, well, they'll either crank up the monetization to 11 or just completely shut it down with no regard for the remaining player base. If Nexon pulls the finance plug, as they have done several times in the past, it's done. It's hard for me to gauge the true popularity of Supervive on Nexon's non-Steam platform, because I don't have access to the data of the player counts. For that, we'll have to wait and sift through their quarterly report. Nonetheless, I wholeheartedly expect this game to be popular in Asia despite all of this. The MOBA genre fits Asia because they really are naturally better at team play, which is also why they dominate the esports scene of games like League of Legends. Battle-Royale in its true form has been a short-lived trend in the West, but a titan in the East which has stood the test of time. So let me give you some advice, Theorycraft and Nexon. Listen up. I don't care how you fuckers do it over there, and I'm sure you guys are making so much fucking cash you don't give a single shit about any of your players. And when you guys work, you also coordinate your team meetings on Microsoft Teams with a 3-2-1. But if you want to win the Western market, you better start making games how we like it, okay? We need individual skill expression, selfish even, fast-paced action, where what I do right now will define the outcome of the next few moments. Most of us are not in here for a chess game with an in-game shop. We're not stupid. We just don't like bullshit. If you want to learn more, check out my Counter-Strike Nexon or the First Descendant videos. I promise, what I talked about now is just the tip of the iceberg. For now though, I recommend you give Supervive a try and make sure to use my refer a friend code in the top left menu. Just copy it from the description or the pinned comment and paste it in the game. And let me know what you think of the game. Thanks for watching.